What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 100% UFC. I hope you are all doing really well. So this video is keep or sell of the players that participated in the 2017-2018 Premier League campaign. If you haven't seen the player ratings for the Newcastle players for the 2017-2018 Premier League campaign, you can go and check that right now. What I'll do is I'll leave a link down below in the description, or you can check a link above as well where you can check out that video. Also, these are just going to be my personal opinions. What I'll do is I'll copy and paste the full squad, the reserves, and you could also have a go by putting keep or sell in the comments down below. Now, just to let you say, these are my opinions. You will also have your own opinions. But anyway, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to put all the comments down below. And let's get into the video. So we'll start off with Martin Dubravka in goal. I'll keep him because I think he's had a good season. Overall, you know, 6 months coming from an unknown league. He's taken it like duck to water, really. You know, he's commanding. You've seen what he can do in goal. You can see that he can talk. He's not scared to put his body on the line. And he's £4 million. I mean, that's an absolute steal. In my opinion, he's a £15 to £20 million goalkeeper straight away. And we've really got to start pulling my socks up and getting this deal over the line. Next, we're going to go with DeAndre Yedlin. I'll keep him. He's not exactly brilliant. He's got the pace. I just think he needs to work more on his tracking back. You know, marking players of good quality, because if he doesn't do that, then he's going to be found out. He has been found out at times this season, but that's no fault of his own. But I'm sure he'll get better next season. Paul Dummett, local lad, had a fantastic season. You definitely keep him because he's of what he can do. You know, he's a bit like Jamal Lascelles. He'll put his body on the line. You know, he doesn't always like to get forward, but at the same time, he's good at tracking back. And you know, he's signing new contracts, so you know, Rafa Benitez likes him, and I want to see more of the same next season. Next, we're going to move to Jamal Lascelles, captain, leader. You know, he's just a complete centre back. Unlucky not to be going to the World Cup this summer, but you know, you definitely keep him. You know, captain leads by example. You know, he's grown into a man over the last couple of seasons under Rafa Benitez, and Rafa Benitez doesn't want to see him go. You know, you can tell he's doing something right if he's been linked with the likes of Everton, Man City, Chelsea, all the top 5-6 clubs over the course of this summer, and I'd like to see the same Jamal Lascelles next season. Next, we're going to move to his partner, Florian Lejeune. Another one who I think we've got to keep. He's been brilliant over the course of the season. Wasn't so good at the start, but that's because he was adapting. He then had an injury, but he came back and he was strong. And I think that's, you know, testament to his character. He's come back in and he's frozen the likes of Kieran Clark out, and you know, he's getting used to this league. And you can see he puts his body on the line. You know, he does all his hard work, which he's supposed to do as a centre back. And you see sometimes Florian Lejeune can actually get forward. He's good from a set piece as well. So you know, he's someone who would like to kick on his game, and for what we paid for him, I think he's no, not done any harm. Next, we're going to move to the midfield of Jonjo Shelvey. You've got to keep Jonjo Shelvey. You know, he's the best that we've got in terms of quality. He likes to play the Hollywood balls. He can play left, right. You know, he can pick out a man, and he can do something from out the ordinary. He can play from the back. And another player who was unlucky not to go to the World Cup this summer. I think he's a really good talent, and you know, I've had my criticisms of Jonjo Shelvey this season, but the one criticism I have had of Jonjo Shelvey is he needs to score a lot more goals than he has. But you know, next season you never know, we might see the best of him. Next, we're going to move to Mo Diarmi. 4 or 5 months ago, I would have said no, don't keep him, but I am going to keep him for the fact of since the start of January. You know, whatever Lucozade he's been taking, keep taking it, because he's been a changed player. This is the Mo Diarmi, you know, that we're seeing from his Hull and Wigan days. You know, he likes to get forward, he likes to pull on the tackle. He seems to be that a lot more stronger, whereas at first he wasn't that great. He was getting out strength, and he just wasn't really working hard enough. And you can see that he's cemented his place in the Newcastle squad. He's played over the last 4 or 5 months. So what you've got to do is he's just got to stick with his game. You know, keep working hard over the summer. You know, keep his place for next season, as nobody's place is guaranteed next season. But he's done no harm at the moment. Next, we're going to move to Matt Ritchie. You've got to keep Matt Ritchie. You know, he's been played so well since he signed for us, and he's never really had a bad attitude. You know, he's playing on the right. Predominantly, he should be playing as a number 10, but he can cut in. You know, he can cause a problem. You know, he scores goals. Hollywood, really good goals. Really, the one against Manchester United, you know, just sums it up. And you know, I've not really got a bad word to say about Matt Ritchie, but maybe if we played him in the whole, maybe he could actually play a lot better. He could probably score a lot more goals. But you know, while he's playing so well, you know, you've got to keep him. He also adds a little bit more quality as well going forward. Kennedy, I will keep him, but then it's out of our hands. You know, he played on loan, you know, from January onwards, and he's obviously gone back to his parent club now at Chelsea. But there's a lot of suitors in for him. But you know, I think Chelsea are offering something like £15 to £20 million. It's an absolute steal in my opinion. You know, he was on the fringe, just weren't too sure about him, but he's proved everybody wrong this season. You know, he likes to, you know, get forward. He likes to, you know, do a couple of tricks or two. He likes to, you know, take players out of the game, and he just adds something different, and he scores goals as well. And it'd be a shame not to see him back, but then again, it's out of our hands. We don't seem to pay, shall I say, the wages of what clubs are after these days. Perez, for me, I would get rid of him. I know he scores goals, I know he's done well towards the end of this season, but for me, from what I've seen of him for the last couple of seasons, just doesn't do enough. Yes, he does like to get back, he does like to make tackles, and yes, okay, this season he scored 10 goals, but we need more from him as a forward lineup. Our forwards aren't exactly brilliant, and for me, for him being at the club the longest, he needs to score more goals. He needs to, take the initiative. I know he hasn't really been playing up front, but is high up the pitch, but he needs to chip in a lot more with goals, and if he can do that, we could have even finished higher up in the table. So if an offer comes in, I would sell him, but I hope that, I want to see a bit more from Ayoze Perez next season. Then we're going to start next with Dwight Gale. I don't think he's good enough personally. I think he's Championship at best, or if you want to put him in the Premier League, he's bottom half, because for me he doesn't score enough goals, he doesn't get forward a lot. You could probably blame the service, but as a forward, your role is to score goals, and he just hasn't done a great deal this season in the Premier League. And I do feel a little bit sorry for the lad, but for me, if an offer comes in, then I think we've just got to take the offer and hope it's a good one, and try and get another striker in that's going to get you the goals. And we need experience, and this is what I'm talking about. We need experience in the Premier League, if we really want to push on from the top 10. Finish this season. Next we're going to move for Carl Darlow. For me, I don't think he's good enough. I'll get rid of him. He hasn't really played a great deal this season. He's been frozen out ever since the Middlesbrough transfer didn't go ahead. Then he's not really been the same. So for me, he's a Championship goalkeeper at best. Let's get it offered and move him on. Then we're going to move on to Rob Elliott. I will get rid of Rob Elliott. Just the fact is, I think he's getting on a bit more now. We've got Freddie Woodman coming in. He's going to be potentially second choice. I just don't think Rob Elliott's really had enough games, a bit like Carl Darlow. I think he needs a loan deal, or we just need to, get an offer in and get rid of him. Kieran Clark, I will keep him. I feel a bit sorry for the lad. Okay, he's been frozen out this season because of Lejeune, and Lascelles have been playing so well. But for me, I do like Kieran Clark. He does get a lot of criticism from the fans, but he hasn't really put a foot wrong. I just don't think it's his fault. I want to see a bit more from him next season. I want to see him fight a bit more in training and try and get into that first team for next season. Hoslu, I will get rid of. I don't think he's that good personally. I know we only paid £5 million for him, but he just doesn't score enough goals. I don't think he works hard enough. He was good at the start of the season, but towards the end of the season, he just hasn't really cut it for me. I know he's only had, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 50 minutes here, but for me, he's not really the answer going forward. Jacob Murphy, I will keep him, just for the fact that he's a young lad. We paid £12 million for him. I don't think we've seen the best of Jacob Murphy yet. I know he's not really had the game time, and a lot of fans are saying that he's not really cut out for the Premier League. Well, think again, I do think he is cut out for the Premier League. I just don't think we've seen the best of him. Like I say, I think he needs more game time. He needs to fight a lot more in training to try and get into the first team. Let's see what he can do, because this guy, he's got potential. He was good at Norwich. He scored a couple of goals past us in the Championship. He's come with a big price tag, I know that, but I'm sure next season we will see the best of Jacob Murphy. And he was unlucky against Tottenham. He should have scored, but he is a good talent. Next, Mikel Moreno, I will keep him. He's not exactly had the best season either. He had a really good start, looked promising, got the back injury, obviously signed the contract before that, but then since then we haven't really seen the best of him. He's been frozen out a little bit, but I want to see him fight a bit more in training. I want to see him show his real potential, and then see what he can do next season, because the lad has got talent. Next, we're going to move on to Isaac Hayden. I would sell him personally. I don't think he's that good. It's not his fault really, but I just don't think he's got the quality of the Premier League. I think he's too young. I think he needs to go to the Championship and start again, get more game time. For me, he's never really looked like breaking in all season. I do like the lad, he's done well for the food bank, but I just think overall he's just not cut out for the Premier League, and I don't think Rafa Benitez thinks that he's the answer going forward. Next, Christian Atsu. I will get rid of him personally. I think we could get a better winger in. I think for me, he was good at the start of the season, but then since we signed Kennedy, he was playing the odd game here or there, and he was playing the last 10-15 minutes. That's not enough for Atsu. The problem I've got with Atsu is, yes, he's got the pace, but when it comes to putting the ball into the box, he's either too slow or he does it too late. And yeah, okay, you could probably look at the forwards that they don't get forward quick enough into the box, but at the end of the day, you've got to use the initiative. And for me, I just don't think he's cut out for Newcastle. I think he needs to move on and maybe transfer elsewhere. Next, we're going to move on to Jesus Gomez. I don't think really that he's got a future here. He hasn't really played enough games. I think he's played 1 or 2 games this season, if I'm correct. We haven't really seen the best of him. He's an old type player. He's had a really good career, but I just think he needs to move on. Sorry, the other dog. But next, Haidara, again another player who's only played 1 game this season. I think he needs to move on as well. try and get some money in for him. I don't think we've seen a great deal of him. He's had his injuries, but for me, I just don't think he's cut out at Newcastle United. I don't think Rafa Benitez, rates him. Next, we're going to move on to Javier Manquillo, another one who I wouldn't really keep. I know you could say, oh, well, he's a Mac and that's why we want rid of him. I just don't think he's got the quality of the Premier League, personally. He's been relegated with Sunderland. I don't think he's really good enough for us. I don't think he's had the game time. I think he needs to... We either need to loan him or we need to sell him, because for me, I just don't think he's really got a future at Newcastle. He's played the odd game here or there, but for me, I just don't think he's cut out playing for Newcastle United. Chancellor Mbemba, I would keep him. You'd probably say, oh, well, you're keeping Kieran Clark and Mbemba, surely you've got to sell him. Well, no, not really. I like Mbemba. I think he's a good player. Again, he's not really had the game time. I want to see him fight a bit more in training. I want to see him, really show what he's about and try and get into that first team, because we've seen him at the start of the season, he looked good, but then obviously he got frozen out, and for no fault of his own, he's been sitting on the bench. We either need to loan him out, or we need to just take the money if we don't want to keep him and try and get another centre back in. Now we're going to look at Islam Slimani. I wouldn't want him back personally. He was on loan. I think he was a flop. I just don't think he was personally good enough for Newcastle. I don't think he was cut out for it. I don't think he really wanted to play for it. He's injury prone, and he's just had a stinking attitude. So for me, I wouldn't really want to have him back at Newcastle United. Saive, I'll probably sell him as well. I don't think he's really had a great deal at Newcastle. I don't think he's really had the games that he's wished for. So for me, I'd definitely get rid of Harry Saive. And then Freddie Woodman, I'd definitely keep. Young English goalkeeper. He'd probably be second choice next season. He'll probably play in the Cups. But I'd definitely keep him because he's an absolute talent. He's been on loan here, there, or there. He will be wanting to try and get into the first team, but not just yet. But you've just got to keep a hold of this real talent in Freddie Woodman. So that's just my opinions on keep and sell. I know you'll have different opinions, and some of you won't agree with what I've said. That's totally understandable. If you want to put your comments down below, don't forget I'll copy and paste all the players into the comments. Then you can copy and paste them into your comments box, and you can put keep or sell down below. I hope you have really enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And until the next one, away the lads.